is 4 p.m. Roll call.
Kara Carr, clerk.
Jim Fox.
Richard Knowles, chairman. Pledge of allegiance. Who wants to lead the pledge?
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Give the chief a minute to get back. Okay, got some new packets here that we're using, so we may fumble a little bit. Number 4, approval of minutes, consent agenda. A, approve special meeting minutes for June 15th, 21. B, approve regular meeting minutes for June 15th, 2021. And C, approve special meeting minutes for July 5th, 2021.
I make a motion that we approve those specified meeting minutes.
Second.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving to 5A, reports and correspondence. June 2021 operational report. Staff is Chief Cunningham.
All I was able to get is the EMS calls again this month. We're having some issues with Firehouse still. But for this month, or for the month of June, we had 5 EMS calls.
Okay. Move to 5B, reports and correspondence. Chief reports.
So all the AC units are up and running. There was a capacitor that was replaced on one of the units for the bays. All of them were serviced, and so far they're in good operational order. Personnel, we've had Wayne Kundra got hired full-time with Northern Arizona, and so he is now just a part-time with us. We have no more full-time people. So it's been a little challenging working around all those guys' schedules. Patrick Lindsay was another one that was working out here quite often, although he worked another job. He also got hired by Northern Arizona. So the only person that we only have one person, Dylan Haskell, that is pretty much open most of the time, so I try to use him to fill in when the other guys are starting to plug in dates. So there's no more just B shifts that are covered anymore. It's kind of all over the calendar. Our next staff that will be out here will be this month on the 23rd and 24th. We just have to be careful that these guys that are working this, because we have so few, which was what we told Wayne. He did a pretty good job of it. Was not to allow these part-timers to get overtime. And that's working anything in excess of 212 hours in a 28-day pay period. So the fewer people you have, the harder that is sometimes to accomplish. So we're hoping to get some more guys in here where we can plug into the schedule and make it a little bit easier. So that's been a work in progress. As far as equipment, we've been, Chief Martin and myself have been out to Station 2. Jim has come out there with us on one time, and we were looking at the pump that they have at Station 2. Chief Martin and I had made a previous trip out there just to turn it on to see if it worked, and for some reason at the time we weren't able to get it to come on at all. We made another trip out there just recently, and we found out that we turned it on and it would just shut off. And they had wired a 220 unit at 110. So we're going to have to do some rewiring on that to make it operational. We'll probably be back out here next week to do that so that we can make sure that pump works like it's supposed to. And the other other thing with equipment is we just had 15 air packs donated by Mojave Valley Fire Department. They sent us 15 masks with those packs, as well as one additional bottle. So we have 30 bottles in all that they sent us, and that was just strictly just a donation to replace the old stuff that we have here. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
One quick question on that.
Can't discuss
You can't
much.
discuss during the chief's report, you can ask him to elaborate on something, but you can't have a conversation and discussion.
Okay. I was just wondering, and you can just answer another time or something, where do these new people come from? If the staff is this short, then where's a bank of people that can come from? And I'm just.
I can talk to you about that. I've already talked to the other board members about it, so I can talk to you about it when the meeting's over.
Okay.
I'd be happy to answer that for you.
Okay.
Moving to 6A. 6 is business, public wishing to speak on agenda must complete is that right? Okay. Must complete a speaker card and present to the board clerk prior to the staff start of the meeting. And 6A, discussion, possible action, approval of April 2021 financial reports. That will be Mindy.
So our revenue for the month of June is $17,180.94. Our expenses are $17,829.19 for a loss of $648.25. Our cash on hand, warrant account, Wells Fargo, $119,512. National Bank of Arizona payroll account, $4,039.19. Petty cash, $96. Total cash on hand, $123,635.31.
I'll make a motion to approve the June 2021 financial reports as presented.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So we'll move on to 6B. Discussion and possible action regarding adoption of fiscal year 2021-2022 final budget and resolution regarding same. Sorry. That's Chief Cunningham.
Yeah, so no changes to the tentative budget with the exception of the bank balance, reflecting the July 1st update. Everything else is the same.
Okay. And this is the resolution we actually need to sign. Do you have another
I have a
copy for
clean
us to
copy
sign?
right here.
Okay.
Make a motion to adopt the fiscal year 2021 and 2022 final budget and resolution.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. I guess we'll sign that when we're done.
Yeah, we usually sign all our documents after the meeting.
Okay. Okay. All right, so we're moving on to 6C. Discussion and possible action regarding approval and signature of budget certification pursuant to ARS 48-802.02. This is Mindy again.
Yeah, this certification must accompany the budget when I send it to the county, which is due by August 1st. And this is, what this is saying is the board is certifying that the district has not incurred more debt in excess of the taxes levied.
Do we need a motion to
Yeah,
approve
yeah.
the signature of a budget?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Certification pursuant to ARS 48-802? Then I would make that motion.
It would, there's a suggested motion right there if you
If you read
wanted
it.
all
approve the budget certification.
I
and
second
motion
the
thereof.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And again, we have the certification. Agenda item 6D, discussion and possible action regarding proposed changes to the bylaws of the Yucca Volunteer Fire District. This is Chief Cunningham.
So, the latest bylaws that we were able to find they were approved in 1994. They're quite old. They do need some attention from the board. These are some of the red line copy is in your packet. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at those. There's more to come, but these are the ones that we wanted to act on first. And of course, any of these that are acted upon at the next regular or special board meeting, can't do anything now. You guys just have to look at them. These are just what we propose that you guys change. In the bylaws, it says that you can't do anything until your next regular or special meeting, so these are just some of the suggestions. Your bylaws aren't that much, but there are things that definitely need to be updated, and I don't know if you guys all have been able to review your bylaws or seen it, and thought about making changes to it or suggested changes to it, but probably be a good idea to update them. They're quite old.
Yeah, so,
They're quite limited too. Ours are
yes.
18 pages long.
yeah, it leaves some to be desired. We will, obviously, we'll review what you have. You have some lined out things and changes in red on this that you've already made. Do you have more suggestions as to changes that you think we should make to this at this time, or are you gonna do that sometime between now and the next meeting?
Well, I got notification of this
Recent, I know.
Thursday.
Yeah.
So I didn't have time.
Yeah, but it's a work in progress is what we're saying.
Yeah, and the changes, I read the bylaws, and the changes that we felt needed to be changed is section 2. It talks about when the organizational meeting will happen within 5 days following the date of the results of the balloting or canvass. Well, there's an issue with that because now you're electing officers when your new board members haven't even been seated. Because they canvass about 10 days after the election, which is the first Tuesday of November. So you are electing officers for people that they're not even there yet. They don't even have a say in it. People that are leaving are the ones that are voting for the people coming in. So we did it like we do it. The organizational meeting will be the first week of December, which means you would have to call a special meeting. We do our ceremony oath of offices for the new board members. We do our election of officers. Those officers are for 1 term, so you would have a meeting every first week of December.
Okay.
That's the first change that we made. The second one is because you're a 3-member board and your tax revenue, your levied taxes do not exceed $500,000. You are allowed to have meetings every other month. You must have a meeting in July, and then you can meet every other month thereafter. So we added that. Of course, you can pull a special meeting anytime you want. We changed the chief executive officer to the fire chief because that's how his contract is written.
Yes.
Okay. And then we changed your term of your officers to be annual instead of every 4 years. You want the chairman you want your people to progressively move up, maybe take clerk, then maybe the next year go to chairman, because what happened to us is we had one board member that was chairman for almost 6 years straight. When he came off the board, nobody had any experience, so you want to move those positions around.
And you don't have to. I mean, some people
You don't have to.
become board members and just aren't comfortable with speaking in the public. But it's, what what could happen is you get a new person that comes on the board, and that's gonna end up being your chairman. And it happens, and it's okay. It's just, usually they don't have much, practice either, unless they're on other boards, because, you know, within Arizona, this is all supposed to be done about the same, you know, way anyhow, so, but it's just, it's happened to us, so that's just was our suggestion.
Great, and something I might have you kind of give us a suggestion for along those lines is the powers of each officer, what they actually do, because it's not very well lined out in here. You know, the chairman presides over the
No,
meetings, that's
You don't
virtually
have
what
any
they do.
financial policy within your bylaws, we do, and it talks about who signs checks, and there shall be 2 check signers, and it talks about
That was one of the things that we were gonna,
Yeah,
work on.
so, yeah. Now, the only other thing I see that we might need to address sooner than later is the amendments to the bylaws, how they have to be done, because it's almost a kick the can thing. You have, we may want to, one of the first things that we may want to direct you to try to revise for us is that amendment process, so that these bylaws can be easier to amend.
Well, our bylaws, we don't have to, bring it to a board meeting and then approve on the next board meeting, but our bylaws state that we have to have any changes approved through the attorney. And we don't know, our bylaws have been vetted by an attorney.
Right.
We don't know
These haven't.
if
I'm
these
sure.
have or not.
Yeah, well, I spoke with Don, who's the one that wrote these, he said he never asked anybody anything, he just did it. So, yeah.
There's sample bylaws in the after book, you know about the red book. Okay, there's sample bylaws in there that we can use.
Yeah.
We can use ours as a sample to try to expand on these and cover more items that need to be covered.
So basically,
That's basic, so those are the few things that we changed. That
so
was
we
it.
can address these and further address the bylaw changes at our next meeting, right?
Well, yeah.
That's kind of what we have to do.
This is your chance to everybody discuss, and
Is there anything you see in there, Kayla, that you want to amend or change?
I know the board was talking about revising the whole thing back in, was it May last year?
Yeah,
I'm not opposed to, rewriting the bylaws or making amendments where we need to, but as of right now, I don't have anything to go off of, so I can't really make suggestions at the moment.
we also removed the word volunteer.
Yes.
okay.
So no action on this one?
Okay, so there's no motion needed on this, we're just gonna revisit it soon. That was 6D, so we're moving on to 6E. Discussion and possible action regarding changing the day and time for the board meetings to Thursday. That's Chief Cunningham.
yeah, so, as you can see, these packets, are a little bit more in depth than what you're used to. They take a little time to put together, and in order to do that and get them to you in, a decent amount of time for you to review them before the next board meeting, we would like to move, the board meeting back to Thursday. That's when you guys have had it on Thursdays in the past, I was told. I don't remember if that's what we moved them from to here. I think it was Wednesday, I was thinking, but,
You're right.
I believe they were at Thursday sometime in the past. And also, we're not going to have, Mindy driving back and forth, every day anymore. She's gonna be coming up, at the beginning of the week. She's gonna be going home back to Havasu, Thursday. We don't work Fridays, Saturday, Fridays are off for us, so, it would help in that aspect, as well. The main thing is just to get the agendas out and to you guys in a timely manner, so that, and it would help giving us a couple days, extra to provide that, make that happen.
We put our board packets out to the board members on Monday for the Wednesday meeting, so they can take them home, read them, read all the suggestions, read the background and the summaries. That way it makes the meetings go faster. when you get into the board meeting, everybody has read the suggestions, and so it makes it go faster.
And it gives you time to review the financial statements. You know, just a lot of people just, they don't really pay that much attention to them. Highly suggest that, I think you guys do after, you know, the history here, but highly suggest that the financial statements are gone through. And he does a good job of putting them together so they're easy to read. But yeah, I mean, we'd like to propose that and have it on Thursdays instead. And we can have it at the same time, you know, if you do go to a every other month board meeting, you know, there might be a little bit more on the board meeting than what we normally have every month. So if 4 o'clock is okay for you guys, maybe we can move it back to 3 if you think. But we can adjust the time as well, but prefer it to be in the afternoon.
Thoughts?
My only issue is, it gives me less time to get the minutes done and posted, because Fridays are pretty busy for me. So
Do the weekends count as your,
only Saturdays we have a physical posting location. So that means I have to get them typed up on Friday and get them posted by Saturday.
You have 3 business days.
You have 72 hours after.
No,
the
you
No.
have 3 business days, and Saturday and
3 business
Sundays don't
days.
count, and holidays don't count. Now, when you're posting an agenda, Saturday counts. When you're doing your 24 hours, you have to post, they count Saturdays, Sundays the only exception, and holidays. But for minutes, it's based on a work week, Monday through Friday. Now that we've taken over doing the board packets and the agendas, I've got a new gal in the office, and I've got some stuff I'm getting caught up. We're gonna start taking over the minutes, but probably not for a couple more meetings.
Okay.
So the only thing you would need to do is, you know, I would send them to you, and you would need to post them.
Would it be possible to maybe table this until the next meeting, and then that way, when we go to change the bylaws, we could change it at the same time, or would that
We can do that.
be
Up to
it?
the board.
no, you heard what she's saying?
Yeah, because we encompass it all in one
In
action item,
One action,
changing to every other month and also changing the
to
date.
Thursdays.
Put
So
the
we can
bylaws at the same time.
Just do no
That's-
motion on, no action on this item, or you can just table it.
Well, if we table it, we'll go to the next meeting, where it needs to go, so.
Okay, I make a motion to table this item until our next board meeting.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We are now up to 6, turn the pages. 6G, discussion and possible action regarding sell property, parcel number 245-14-273. Discuss options for selling
Yeah.
parcel.
Are you
approval.
on-
Sorry,
Wait, you're on
what
the wrong
happened to
item.
F?
Yeah.
6F.
Sorry. I missed a tab. I told you it was gonna have some issues here. All right, F. Erase that. Okay, agenda item 6F. 6F, discussion and possible action regarding offer to settle debt with Wells Fargo Bank for credit
From
card.
Wells Fargo. Yeah,
from-
there's a big difference
yeah,
there.
From Wells Fargo Bank, yes.
Okay, so I received a letter from Wells Fargo, for credit card debt balance of $15,086.99. They're offering a settlement at 45% of the current balance. So the settlement amount would be $6,789.15. The offer expired on July 18th. I have called them numerous times, they won't call me back, I've left messages, I've sent them a letter, can't seem to get anybody to talk to me. So at this point, the ball is kind of back in their court. Put a copy of the letter I sent them, explaining to them that this has to be board approved, and that we need to know whose credit card this is for, whose charges, because the account number that's referenced on this letter is a consolidated account number. There were many billings underneath that account number. So I don't know whose debt this is. And until we find out whose debt it is, I bring the file of the Wells Fargo credit cards here. This is when it stopped in November of 2019. The problem is the last statement I have does not balance. I'm sorry, yes, it does balance, but I can't be sure how much of this is for, is it all for one, or there's two cards on here. So, and then there was the issue of, is some of this debt fraud? Which, if we, there's a letter in here that Chief Lefflet put in he put in a dispute for fraud on our credit card, and this is the only correspondence in here. It's just a letter back to Chief Lefflet saying that they are looking into his inquiry about potential fraud. Where that went, I don't know. There's no other correspondence in the file. So, just kind of, at this point, wanted to bring it to the board and let them know what's going on. You know, even though this may be charged off, it's still on Yucca's credit report. And if you guys are ever gonna wanna get another credit card, you're gonna have to address it.
I agree with you. I don't think we can pay even a penny of it until we know what it is. It wouldn't be, just wouldn't be, I don't think it'd be legal even. So we don't know what we're spending the money on. We couldn't approve for you to pay it without knowing what exactly it is. So like you said, I think the ball's in their court. And they basically know everything you've just told us, right?
Yes, I told them that we needed a breakdown of whose charges these were. I told them that we have had some investigation of fraud and embezzlement on past employees. I told them that the board is the only person who can authorize payment of this debt, and that today it's our board member. And I didn't get any response to my letter, just like my phone calls.
Well, I guess we wait for them to respond.
Okay.
I don't see we can do a whole lot more without more information. If they want any money, they're eventually going to have to talk to us.
Yep.
Okay? Anything on that?
Okay.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
Right. Now, back to 6G. Agenda item G, discussion and possible action regarding cell parcel number 245-14273. Discuss options for selling parcel, approve of surplus property resolution. That's Chief Cunningham again.
So yeah, just bringing this back to you again to see what you guys, how you guys would like to proceed with this, if at all. My recommendation would be to sell the property or try to get rid of it somehow. But I just wanted to bring it back to you guys to see what your thoughts were and how you wanted me to proceed if you want to sell it.
If we say we're going to sell it, do you have a plan at all as to how? What, would we put it on public surplus? Would we, do you have any ideas as how to go about it?
Well, I mean, public surplus would be the first start.
Yeah.
I think we could, see what the cash value is, maybe list it for that cash value. I would say to try to get something that way prior to listing it with a real estate agency, because then they'll just take the commission or they'll get a portion of it. But public surplus, the buyer agrees to all of that.
They pay the fees.
They pay the fees. So that would be what I would suggest first, but it's entirely up to you guys.
I watch public surplus a lot, and there are lots of real estate
There's a lot of
on there.
property on there.
They wouldn't be there if they weren't selling. I mean, the agencies wouldn't put them on there unless us they were getting something out of them. I think it would be at least a first step, because if it doesn't sell, it doesn't cost us anything.
Do you, I guess another question would be, how long do you want me to try to sell it? Do you want me to put it up there for, it's not like the boats that we sold. I don't know that we need to be that aggressive on trying to sell that property. It's not costing us anything. It's not in our way. Like I said, most people didn't even know that property existed. So we could maybe put it on for 30 days or whatever, 45 days, see what happens.
The ones I've seen, they usually list them out for 30 days.
Okay.
I'm assuming that there's a reason for that with because there's tons of them. Tempe sells 100 pieces of property a month on there. I don't know where they get them, but.
So the resolution that's attached, it has under disposal there, it talks about public surplus, and then if that doesn't work, we can list the property with the real estate agency. What would you like to do if that doesn't work by either one of them? It's a little bit different than when you have material stuff.
Yeah.
Because when we have material stuff that we don't utilize, and if we can't give it away, we throw it away, we discard it. We can't really do that with property. So I guess the last thing, the attempt would be to try to I would just give it away, donate it.
I don't know. I would suggest that we pursue the two avenues we have and then revisit it if they don't sell then.
Okay.
If it's not gone then, we'll stub our toe on it again in a few months.
Okay.
I agree.
So, should we get a motion to direct them to put it up for sale?
What option would you guys recommend out of, the public public surplus, auction type, or do you recommend the realtor? Which one do you think will get the most money out of?
Well, public surplus, they don't charge a commission. Well, they charge, but the buyer pays that.
Okay.
So what you ask for is what you're gonna get, just like the boats. What I listed them, I didn't list them, I had a starting price, which is what we'll do. But whatever they say that they're, it ends up being, they pay on top of that. So there's gonna be added cost to the buyer.
I believe, isn't commission higher on bare land?
Oh, it's
It is.
insane.
It's like 10%?
Yeah,
Or more.
Okay.
it's definitely higher.
I've seen realtors charge 25% for stuff out here because it's not easy to market.
Well, we have to keep in mind too, like I showed you guys, I think I brought in pictures.
Stuff on it.
There is junk on it, and that's kind of an eyesore. It might not be, harder to sell that way. But I would definitely start with public surplus before we listed it with a realtor.
And I would say maybe the 45-day gives us a few extra weeks, or 2 extra weeks. Let the things pan out. And then go to it, like you said, in a couple months.
Well, we could always, if you list it on public surplus and it doesn't sell, you can relist it again.
It doesn't cost.
It doesn't cost anything. That's a service that's provided to government agencies. That it seems to me that it's a good deal for everyone. And as I said, I think you'll get the most exposure because there's people worldwide bid on there.
Right.
And there are people all over that want places in Yucca. So yeah, I think that would be the first move. I believe the resolution you have here with it just stopping right there. If it doesn't sell on public surplus, at whatever point we can list it with real estate, and if we can't get rid of it, then we can move on to figuring out what to do then.
Okay.
So, you wanna make a motion? You want me to do it, or?
I'll do it. I make a motion to sell parcel 245-14-273 and approve the surplus resolution.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, now. Make sure I didn't skip one. Okay, we're at 6H. Discussion and possible action regarding energy audit and status of electric usage. This is Chief Cunningham again.
So I already kind of updated you a little bit on this in my chief's report. You know, all the units were serviced. The ones that needed to be repaired were repaired. He did stuff to some of them on site. He had to order parts for the one of them in the bays. But some of the consensus was just talking to even the repair person that came and looked at the refrigerator and freezer that are out in the bay. I was actually here the day that he made an unscheduled stop. He was just passing through. I just happened to be here. We went out and looked at them, but because they were unplugged, he couldn't do anything with them. He said it would take too long for him to, they needed to be on. But him and I had a discussion, and he says, you know, it's his opinion was the energy cost was not going to go down. We got our ACs fixed now. I don't think what the guy that came out to do the energy audit, he thought maybe it could be something wrong with the ACs that was driving that energy bill up. The repair guy that came out to fix it said that's not the case. There's nothing wrong with the air conditioners that would have done that, even if they were being run and they weren't working properly. The consensus between the AC guy as well as the repair guy, it's just we have a lot of appliances here, and you know the appliances are big appliances, and they just take a lot of electricity. You know, the ones that are in the bays are, with the exception of when the food pantry's here, they're running in very hot atmosphere. The bays are over 100 degrees out there right now. So, and those things never turn off. They're constantly going, and they probably run even when you guys are here and do use the air conditioners out there. So, which brings in 2 more air conditioners on Fridays. You know, so I think, you know, the whole thing is, I don't think there's anything wrong with any of our appliances. I don't think there's wrong with any of your guys' appliances. I think the problem is just we consume a lot of energy here. So that's kind of, and I can bring the guy back out now that everything's done and see if he wants to do or can conduct an energy audit for us. But I kind of think after talking to both repair people, I agree with them that I don't think anything's going to change, and I don't think anything we do here is going to change. You know, I don't know what we could do to change anything. I mean, we've got guys here 10 days a month, and now less, because we have no full-time person. We did go to the small general service plan. It saved us under $200. That's not much of a savings. I don't think that we're moving forward, keeping everything the way it is. I don't see us, until it starts cooling off a little bit, I really don't see our energy costs going down. And, you know, what Mindy showed you before, and it's here, I mean, the levels of our energy from this year to last, doesn't matter whether it's in the summer or in the winter, they're pretty equal to each other. And so that it tells me that it's not going to change anything. I don't know what else we could do here as far as, you know, trying to conserve energy. Like I said, guys are here not very often, so I think it just boils down to we just use a lot of energy.
Were we able to stay under that one threshold where we were getting hammered?
Well, I think that just changed, so
Well, we
far.
just changed, we've only been on this payment.
Just that 1 month?
May 28th, we moved to the small general service plan. We ran 6,800 kilowatts on this last bill. We have to stay under 12,000 kilowatts in 2 consecutive months.
Is that total for the 2 months?
No,
That's
12,000
per month, 12,000 per
month.
month for 2 months.
2 months, then they're gonna bump us back up again.
Okay.
So we're at 68, and we can go to 12.
We've gotta try to keep it under 12.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
that's slightly encouraging.
You know, the issue is, unless you got somebody out reading the meter every week, you're not
You
gonna
don't
know until you get the bill.
Yeah.
You know, and the only difference that we had, you know, was that, you know, we didn't use the air conditioners because they were broke. So the food pantry, I think, had to go through 2 weeks without being able to utilize those air conditioners out there, right?
And we pulled that one unit out. That one reach
Right.
in,
We
we
did.
pulled that out,
We had our service too.
and we had our serviced.
So, you know, those were some changes that were made. I mean, the AC units weren't used and a refrigerator was removed. So, just use a lot of energy. I'd be happy to have an audit done again, or to see if the guy would come out and do one. I don't know what else we could do to change anything. One of the things that, and this would maybe benefit you guys, and I don't know, you know, we talked a little bit about, trying to keep the cost down, and I explained to him about, you know, the energy audit, and then, you know, we talked a little bit about, the, you know, the adjustments that were made to try to save us a little bit of money. And he says that, you know, and this would benefit you guys, but he didn't think that leaving those things plugged in all the time was a good thing in the heat. You know, he
He's gonna
thought,
plug those.
well, he thought that that would be best because he feels like running those things in, you know, 100-degree temperature. I mean, even at night, probably 2 o'clock in the morning, that place is probably still 90 degrees. You know, I mean, there's just, without anybody opening the bay doors, it's not getting any pass-through air in there at all. And his thought was that, you know, you're probably gonna see them sooner than you want to because something else is gonna happen. They're just running in extreme temperatures and they're not stopping, so.
At one time, we were unplugging and then turning them off in the evening.
Right.
And then when we'd come in on Friday, we'd come in at 8 o'clock and plug them in. By the
Right,
time we
and
were
we
ready
had
to put
asked
stuff
you-
in, they were coming
Right,
out.
and we
That
had
was us.
asked you to plug them in.
Yeah.
We thought,
We were trying to see if there was gonna make any difference on the demand charge, and it did not make a difference.
Okay, so we can go back to that, that'd be
Oh.
fine.
yeah, I mean, I would suggest them for you guys, cause it might make your, you know, equipment last a little bit longer. I don't know if you're keeping stuff in there now, but, if you're not, I'd probably go back to unplugging them, just to make your stuff last longer.
Having them running when they're empty is not efficient at all either.
It wants a load in it for it to function right. Do they have access to get in to plug it in before the Friday?
We won't need that, because we found that when we plugged it in, when we first got in on Friday
It works.
mornings, by the time that the Walmart delivery came, they were up to temp,
Okay,
so that wasn't an issue.
okay.
Since we also have less staff here, do you think we could possibly maybe unplug one of the other white refrigerators? I know it's kind of a small thing, but would be one less appliance.
Yeah, we're trying to get all that stuff condensed, and there's no reason to have but one refrigerator,
Right.
so, yes.
Maybe you're gonna tell her about the airflow doors, putting vents in.
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna do that. I think you know, one of the things that, I was talking to, the energy audit person as well as the air conditioner person that had come out, was just the airflow in here is not very good at all. And the guys leave the doors shut, to all the different rooms, and I think we're gonna have to put a stop to that. You know, the only other option is to cut holes in the doors and put vents in. You know, we were gonna try to, you know, close off the front part of it, so that the public didn't have access to the radio room and all the med supplies and stuff up front. But he said we're just adding to our problem. You know, if we put a door there, that's just another barrier. So, he said, for whatever reason, the way they did, this building was designed, it was just designed kind of weird and not good for conducive to air conditioning and the way they need to run. So, that was his thought, was either leave the doors open, at least, you know, these doors, you know, and into the kitchen, because when I come in here, that kitchen is extremely hot. There's no circulation into that kitchen whatsoever. The guys were turning the AC units up when they weren't here. We just told them to turn it up so that but they were turning them up to like 84 degrees, which is okay. The problem is when they get here, they turn it down to 72, and of course that, I'm sure doesn't help the demand. But even since we've cut the staffing, it hasn't made a difference. So that's not the only problem. But as far as airflow through this building, I think if the guys are just going to have to leave these doors open, including that kitchen door is going to have to be left cracked. There's really no way to secure this unless we put, cut holes and stuff in the doors.
You can do vents up above. This is like a fire door, metal door, so it's easier just to cut a vent in the drywall. Up there is what a lot of homes do now to equalize the pressure in each room.
Yeah, and that's an option too. Just some sort of a vent, whether they be in the door's left open or whatever. But, for now, our plan is to just leave the doors open. And go with that.
I agree.
Anything else on this one?
No, okay.
That was 6H. We'll move to 6I. Discussion of possible action regarding renewal of the Yucca Community Food Pantry Facility Use Agreement expiring on September 18th, 2021. And this is Kayla.
Okay. So, I have a semi-annual agreement now. So there are a few changes to this contract versus the original. It would be a semi-annual, and it would take place the day that the other one expires, which is September 18th, 2021. Then the other change is that they are going to pay facility use fee of $500 a month instead of $250. Let's see. And the payment would be the 15th instead of the 10th like it used to be. And the termination and cancellation clause is now a 90-day notice for both the fire district and the food pantry, instead of a 30-90.
Okay.
So this would be renewed in 6 months, or we could always make modifications in writing. Let's see. It must be in writing and signed by both parties. So anytime we want to make an amendment or a modification, the food pantry and the fire district would submit it in writing.
We have a staff recommendation on here. It's that Chief Cunningham or Mindy or both to address it.
Well, what we do in Golden Valley is we just do a monthly. We've never done anything other than that. We've had a lot of people in our facilities over the years. We had a church that was in our facility that was there for, I think it was before you were there, right? It was there. They were there for over a year, maybe a year and a half, 2 years. And it was a monthly, but it was an auto renewal. So it never came back to the board once it was approved. And we had a 30-day cancellation. So obviously, I'm glad that that was addressed, because I didn't understand the 90 versus 30, or why that was implemented. But it should be the same. And then, of course, if anybody wants to make changes, it would come back to the board to make those changes. But it just seems to me, and we've had 2 trucking companies use our facility, and both of them have done the same way. It's just a monthly auto renew, and they send us a check every month, and it seems to work out just fine.
Well, what I see with the 6-month contract is you're gonna be revisiting this every 3 months, and here's why. A 6-month contract for the 90-day cancellation,
Yeah.
that makes no sense.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty quick.
So in 3 months, you're gonna bring this back to the board, because their contract, if they need 90 days to get out, then in 3 more months, you're gonna be revisiting this.
Well, even a 30-day, to me, if you just did a monthly with an auto renewal, you're not gonna visit again unless you wanna make a change or somebody wants to cancel.
Originally, when this contract or facilities use agreement was done, there was, as far as I remember, there wasn't one. It was a verbal agreement. And there was a lot of turmoil then, and we all know that. And people were going to throw people out and such as that. And that was what prompted us to go to a facilities use agreement to begin with. And I was party to that. At that point, there was a lot of things we know now that we didn't know then, financially and such as that for this fire district. I don't see a problem with the food bank being here at all. I think it's an okay thing. I think we should continue, but I think that we might lean towards what our staff recommendations are as to how we do it, because basically we've hired them for their expertise, because they do this and they do it all the time, and they have experience with other places that they're doing now. I would waver to go with keeping the food bank here and using whatever information we have to facilitate a price, which staff didn't have a recommendation there at this point.
Well, the other thing I would, if you don't mind, I would say that, if they asked to see the utility bill, Mindy sent it to them, they paid half of that.
Yeah.
I would suggest that they continue to pay half the utility bill with a minimum fee of $250. That way they're not always stuck paying $500. It's not always gonna be that much. As it cools off, the electric bill's gonna come down, and I think that's, you wanna be fair about it. So that would be my suggestion, is to just do what they did this last time and just pay half and make $250 the minimum.
Okay. And we don't have any volatility like we used to have with the district. I mean, everything's going pretty smooth. We don't really see anybody jumping up and down and raising hell with each other anymore. So I kind of lean, like I said, I think we should go with what the staff has recommended and keep the fire department and the food pantry working together under his month-to-month agreement idea. I don't see that it would be a problem. That's my intention.
The
My
reason
thoughts.
for the 90-day notice is, when I was talking to Terry, it takes 90 days with St. Mary's with the deliveries to cancel them out. So it takes them a longer period of time. That's why we couldn't do it 30 day, because they need 90 days to cancel out St. Mary's.
So we wouldn't have a problem with a monthly with an auto renewal as long as we had that 90-day grace to where we could notify St. Mary's of the changes.
See, that's the issue with the month to
Yeah.
month.
Could we do a month-to-month
With a 90-day notice.
that we would, well,
It would come.
is there a way we can word it?
I would word it that once the notice has been given, then
You have 60 days to
You have
terminate,
90
to leave.
90 days.
you have 90 days to.
There you go.
Okay.
So you still got the same thing. You don't have to visit it ever again.
Okay.
It automatically renews. You like that?
I like that.
No, I'm still iffy month to month, but if want to get together and we could bring it back again to the next board meeting, well, yeah.
Can the board email me their recommendations and I can modify the agreement? and-
Yeah, I'm
They
just,
can make the motion here of what they want the contract to say.
Yeah, we,
The document doesn't have to be here
Today.
today. It can be signed after the meeting, in a week, month.
And this is, just so you guys know, this is in no way to get you guys out.
no, I want you to realize that too. No, with this, like I said, my statement is, I think we should continue our relationship with the food bank. I think that the ideas that the chief has, and the fact that you'll pay half in the wintertime, your bill's gonna go down. You don't have to pay near as much money, because I'm sure that the electric bills here are going to be much less in the winter.
If we can stay on the small business plan.
Yes, if we can.
but what happens if it does spike and then it kind of puts them in a,
Well, they're gonna pay half of the electric bill with a minimum of $250, so I don't have the electric bills with me for the last year. I do know, I remember I paid one 1,100. I think there was one 1,100, I think that was the highest one I saw. And that was in the peak of summer, you know, we're talking last July, last August. We shouldn't see that again if we stay on the small business plan. So I'm not anticipating that it's gonna go over 500 a month, but maybe, possibly 1 month a year. But then it will be, in the wintertime, they're gonna make that up because they'll drop down to 250.
Yeah.
So instead of paying 500 throughout the whole year, it will just fluctuate.
now, do you think it'd be possible, to do like a minimum and a maximum, so they don't go over their budgeted amount as well, cause they only have a set amount budgeted for them, they only work off of donations. So,
Well-
if we do a minimum of 250, maybe we could set a maximum of 500 a month.
That's up to the board.
That's up to you guys, but, keep in mind, we're talking taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
So you have to make it fair,
And
I
another
mean,
side
I
of this
can-
is,
I don't have the bills here with me, but back in my office in Golden Valley, I could go through and pull the highest bill for the last 12 months, but it's not gonna help you right now
right,
making this decision.
those high bills that you were talking about that were the 1,100 were when we were on the other plan with the high demand.
Exactly.
And that, which was another, what, $300 on that
Well,
bill or something similar? It
We
was a lot.
saved $168 with our usage being at 6,800 kilowatts. We were up around 11,000. We did not exceed 11,000. We were about 11,000 kilowatts. Because I had gone through to ask them to put us down. I had to make sure that in the last year we had not exceeded 12,000 kilowatts, or they weren't gonna do it. So we did not exceed 12,000, and then you take away that demand charge, which was running $300
Yeah.
a month. Yeah, we're not gonna see those bills
So,
anymore.
so the likelihood of having a $1,000 bill where they would pay more than $500 is
Like I said,
really
pretty,
unlikely.
like I said, maybe one time a month, one
One
time
time
a
a year.
year. I'm thinking maybe, it gets really hot, August, September.
July and
July.
August
Yeah, yeah.
is a screamer.
Yeah,
And then, but they've taken a couple of those things
yeah,
offline.
we've made changes.
And we're down with a nice grace period between 6
Yeah.
and 10.
Does that give kilowatts?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. Yes, it does.
If you go across.
It's right at that 10 and 11, like you were saying. But if we're,
So
if
again,
we
we're not
keep
gonna hit the demand charge as long as we
this
maintain
time,
those.
because of those few pieces of equipment are off, and then the reduced staff here.
So we're in our peak right now according to our last 1 year of history. Because it looks like August was a little bit higher than July,
Yes.
and then September dropped down to about 9,000. And then from there, it just goes down until you come back around to June, July. So we're talking 4 months here, June, July, August and September, those are gonna be the high months.
Well, what I recommend is, maybe everyone, we could table this until the next board meeting, and everyone could submit their recommendations, and we could vote on a finalized one in August.
Finalize one,
And review of another contract in August.
well, if we do the month to month, we're not really gonna have a contract, it's just.
Well, right
or
now, the
will we?
contract is still active,
Right, it's still active until
September
September.
18th.
We're in,
July, so we'll go one
So, I
more.
mean, you can't get out of this contract because you got a 90-day.
right,
So you gotta take this through to September 3rd,
Right.
18th, and then that's when you would vote to go month to month.
right. But are we gonna have, we're talking about splitting our meetings and going down to every other month?
Well, we
or-
can't do that now because we can't change the bylaws until next
Right,
year.
so, okay, I just wanna make sure we don't end up being past our contract time, but, so, with the tabling it, we could recommend that maybe Mindy puts together and Chief puts together the idea of what we had for a month-to-month and send it to Terry and see if that would fly with her, and then the board can discuss with Terry at the next.
And I can discuss with my board members
Yeah,
and get
that would
their.
give everybody time to, and then
Okay.
if she's good with month-to-month, then we would probably be good with it too. Sound good,
Okay,
so we
so-
table it under those terms?
So I make a motion to table this agenda item until our next regular board meeting.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, we're down to item 7, call to the public. Anybody? Hello? I'm calling you.
Doing good?
So, agenda item 8, can somebody make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
At 5. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned as of 5:01 PM.
Mindy, do you need the, campus, email address?
Stuff here.